What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my Rurouni Kenshin The Final review. Okay, guys, we are talking about the live-action film The Final. Now, before we get to that, a couple days ago, it was just announced that The Beginning is coming to Netflix July 30th. So keep that date in mind. The Beginning, Hamura Batosai in the past. I cannot wait to see The Beginning. So, all right, my initial thoughts on this film. It was action-packed. Like, the action sequences were absolutely amazing. They drew me in. They were exciting. Yeah. Another thing, the music fit the scenes, and they really added to them. And they were just beautiful. You know, the music tracks that they played were beautiful. Obviously, One OK Rock at the end, that Renegades, is an amazing song. But the OST that played through them, I feel like Kenshin has always had great OST throughout the films. So that was another thing. The stunning visuals, okay? The visuals were absolutely beautiful. I felt like the film... the way they did the choreography on the actions, as well as taking the photographs, the still photographs, wow, just blew me away. The drama, the storyline was developed. They took their time to develop the storyline of the cross-shaped scar, and I felt like it made it more emotional. And it really did, you really did feel the emotions of Kenshin and Enishi towards the end because they took the time to develop it and at a good pace. Yes, it was only a 2-hour and 20-minute film, but for what they did, I felt they did an incredible job. Now, I kind of wish it would have been a longer film or 2 films, but for what they did, I feel like Otomo did, try a little bit of everything, and I felt like it truly was Kenshin. So yeah, that's my take on, the live action. Obviously, the standout characters like, Enishi Yukishiro as, Makunyo Arata as Enishi. He did an incredible job acting. His action sequences with Kenshin were really spectacular. Emi Take kind of pushed her character a little more, showing more emotion, intensity. So I really did enjoy seeing those. Sojiro with Kenshin. We had a lot of different things in the film that really was like, wow. Like, I was really wowed, and yeah, that was one thing that I really enjoyed about the film. Now, was it perfect? No. I'm not gonna sit here and say this wasn't in the film, so this is a strike towards the film, Now, I kind of wish, this was in here, and I kind of wish that was in there. That's okay. But what I'm saying is, you don't want to nitpick at every little thing and look for mistakes. I don't think you can enjoy the film by doing that. And also, Otomo has commented in an interview about that. So I wanted to share his comment. He says, "I fully understand the feelings of the fans of the original work, but as a filmmaker, I would like to say that it is time to stop looking for mistakes." And he laughs it off. He says, "The best way to enjoy a film is for people to see it as a work of art with a pure heart." So what he's saying is, look at it for what it is and not for what it should be. And I feel like that is a very good point, especially if you want to enjoy the live action. That's just my take on it, but I personally enjoyed the film. So, I'm going to show you the reasons why. The first one is the exciting intro. When we first introduced the film, we get the train scene, okay? We got Enishi sitting on a train. Saito is smoking a cigarette, obviously, cool and collected. And Enishi is being just Enishi. We see kind of his menacing presence and kind of his obsessive behavior towards the Batosai, his vengeance. He wants to take his revenge on Batosai, so he asks about the cross-shaped scar, right? And then he gets up, and then he fights all the police officers. We get to see a little bit of his strength, which is absolutely incredible, by the way. And then he confronts Saito, and he's like, "You want to fight Shinsengumi?" But he holds back and he waits till he destroys a bunch of the police officers, so that when Saito is ready for him, he's with the Gatotsu. He's got the Gatotsu ready. Inashi just holds back, and he just sits back in the train car chair, and he's just like, "Take me." And then he puts his hand behind his back. So you see him being apprehended, but he's got this crazy look in his eyes, and he's got, this creepy and sadistic smile on his face. So it just really was very interesting and exciting as well. It was a great way to introduce the film. Like I said, the crush-shaped scar was that is the main theme of the film. So I felt like that was a great, point to add that to the film right at the beginning. So we know where we're going. It sets the tone for the film, but it held back. We didn't actually get to see the fight between Saito and Inashi, but at the same time, we got that excitement. Oh my gosh, they're going to fight, but oh, okay, this is where we're going, and this is how, powerful he is. So it was very interesting. Okay, so let me show you some, stills from it. So this is Saito smoking the cigarette and on the train as well. And then this is Inashi in the next scene. He's walking towards him. And then here's where he grabs one of the officers by the throat. So yeah, we get to see a little bit of his strength as well. So, okay, now, Yosuke Yaguchi, the one who played Saito, introduced the film. This was his beginning of the film. He started the film. So he has stated in an interview his thoughts about, being the one to start the film. So it's very important, and I wanted to share, kind of his thoughts. Okay, Iguchi says, "As I was reading the script, I felt that the scene was meant to present the viewer with the message, this is the kind of movie you need to be prepared for. It's a big responsibility, and I went into it with the mindset of, I'm going to create this world. I thought it was also the biggest chance for me to show off a little." So he talks about, the importance of starting the film, because it's very important, right, to get the viewers, locked in and very excited for the film. And I felt like they did accomplish that. Yeah. So anyways, next thing, the incredible action sequences. Now, I mentioned it before, but the action sequences were just so many different types. That is what was very interesting to me. They pushed the limits of what a live action film could be. Definitely Sato definitely pushed his character beyond his limits. Like, he did everything possible in the film. He was 1-on-1. He was 2-on-1. He was 3-on-1. He was 100-on-1. At one point, there were like over 100 of them fighting, and then he's got 2 of the 6 comrades waiting for him to fight. So like, he's fighting all the minions at the same time, and he's fighting, those 2, 6 comrade members of Inashi's group. So he did a lot of things. He jumped off rooftops, that was incredibly dangerous, by the way, because it's in the winter time. Definitely watch Road to Kenshin, because on his official website on YouTube, he explains kind of the dangers and what he had to go through. So that was really cool, seeing his, rooftop run and jumping off, because he attacks from the rooftops. Now, in a scene with Otowa, one of the members of 6 Comrades, he actually runs up the wall. He runs up the wall and does a backflip, and then he catches like 2 of the, I think they're needles. They're like his weapons, and he drops them, obviously. But that was just an awesome scene. And of course, his Hiten Mitsurugi is displayed, and that moment where he unleashes the attack and Otowa goes flying across the screen through the door. That was just a really cool scene. The Japanese style house. I think it was Uemura's, Chief Uemura's house. But anyways, that was a really cool scene, and I felt like they really did some interesting things action-wise on that part. So this is what I'm talking about. So this is the scene where he fights Otowa. Now, Ottawa he's kind of sadistic looking. Let me show you what I mean. This is Ottawa right here. I felt like they did a good job with him. I like his maniacal laugh. He kind of has a creepy laugh, not necessarily maniacal, but yeah. And also, how he kind of rhetorically asks Kenshin, how many of them are there? Why are we doing this? And suddenly he has that explosive, and then he just blows himself up. It just kind of gave you that holy crap, He's trying to obviously make, Kenshin suffer in a different type of manner. So, Kurushi me, we hear this another thing from Inishi when he first, confronts him on the bridge. But yeah, that was a really interesting thing. Another thing, duo fights. We got Sojiro and Kenshin fighting. That was another cool thing. The choreography, they were working together, and that was just very interesting. So like I said, he really pushed the limits of what he could do live action, action-wise. And Sato definitely shined, in this film, in his action sequences. Now, one thing I want to point out is Sano's action was kind of, a little disappointing. He was more like a punching bag to Inishi. Yes, he did show, his strength, as a brawler, but it really didn't shine through because he was fighting against Inishi, and Inishi is incredibly powerful. He made everyone look weaker around him. So yeah, that was a bit of a letdown on the action wise for Sanosuke. That's just my opinion on that. Some parts of the story were altered, not the same as the manga, because there were so many action sequences. So because they pushed the limits of action in this film, they had to cut out the important parts of the manga that may have added something to the story. But I do feel like they still did a good job, and they, some action sequences were really well done. Others were just, okay, that was cool, but maybe it wasn't needed. So there were a lot of action sequences. Now, the next thing is standout performances. Makanyu Arata as Enishi Yukishiro. He is the one that stood out to me above most of the actors in this film. Now, obviously, Takeru Sato is the one that stood out in the action sequences. He had the most. He was involved in so many different, crazy acrobatics and things like that. He did have a great performance as Kenshin as well, but Makanyu Arata as Enishi is the one that just wowed me. The way that he was able to show a wide range of emotion. Kenshin, on the other hand, usually keeps those emotions hidden. That's just his character. That's the usual Kenshin when something bad happens, he's always like that. He gets down like that, and he, wants to keep things to himself. But Inishi has it where it's deep inside that hatred comes outwardly. So we see that, and we see the suffering also comes out eventually. Like there's a scene where he's recalling where Batosai kills his sister, and he's just on the ground and he's suffering and he's yelling, and he looks up to the sky and he talks to his sister. You can just tell that this guy is really emotionally distraught. He's really suffering. So we get that from the character, and you feel bad for Inishi because the way it's shown, the way he portrays him, he's vicious. He'll do anything to make, Kenshin suffer. Kurushi me is what he says. But yeah, it's very interesting, and so we get that vengefulness of him as well, the childishness. You see him thinking back to his past and always looking up to his sister, trying to get approval, trying to get her to smile again, right? But yeah, I feel like he pushed the limits of his character, what he could do physically, mentally, emotionally. So Inishi was on full display, and I felt like he did an incredible job, Makanyu Arata. Yeah, and his action sequences were absolutely incredible too. Because I mean, the Wato Jutsu, very unique. His kickboxing, like his taijutsu, obviously, he's got some very unique action. Now, it's not as much as Kenshin, but when he was on screen, you were wowed. You were wowed. You were like, holy crap! Like he is strong, and you just felt like you're in it the whole time when you see him. It's like, wow, okay. So yeah, his performance was very impressive, very impressive. I like how he needed his sister's approval. That gave him like flaws and kind of, it showed that he is human after all. The way he's suffering, but also childlike and almost like he's in a trance. He does this when he's trying to kill Kaoru. He says shine, 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 and he just keeps going on and on. But then the back of his mind, that trance, but he has the backstory. He has that past with his sister, and you can see it. He's relatable. You can feel that emotion through that, and yeah, that was really powerful. So yeah, you felt bad. He's relatable, and yeah, the Genshu, the vengefulness of him, just really came out. Okay, now Mina Tominaga is the voice actor of Yahiko, and she mentions some comments about him. And this is about the final. She says, I was certainly drawn in by the charm of Inishi Yukishiro in the fierce action scene on the train in the beginning. His supple body and crazy eyes and disturbing presence really caught my surprise. Inishi's persistence and Kenshin's conviction. And then there was the battle for love. My heart was stirred many times. So you can tell that she was definitely in it because of Enishi. Enishi was one of those characters that, he's the villain. He's the villain. But at the same time, you feel bad for him. And I like how they portrayed him. And I also like how they had Kenshin and Kaoru kind of try to help him out. Because that's how it is portrayed in the original. But also it shows their personalities. And they definitely showed Inishi's personality. Like, he was vicious, but at the same time, he had that kind of, fragility as a child, but it stems from all his sister and in the past. So I do like it. Okay. The next thing, Sano and Magumi, they had some great moments together. I felt they had some great lighthearted moments because these were humorous moments that added to the film, because most of the film is very serious, chaotic. There's a lot of action, right? There's, explosions going on, a lot of struggling. So I do like the fact that they tried some lighthearted humor moments, and Sano and Magumi had some great ones. And not just the humorous ones, but the serious ones. So one of the really funny ones was at the beginning when Magumi is in Asakusa and she sees the bride on the street. She's like, I want to wear that someday. And once in my lifetime. But Sano goes on to say, how many times are you planning to get married? Because she goes on to talk about, the different type of headdresses and things like that. So it was a really funny moment, and they kind of were playful with each other. We kind of got, their character from the original. So I really like that. Also, we get the serious moments. Megumi going to Kaoru and really telling her, you still have a future with Kenshin because you can still help him. You're alive. Tomo is gone. You have to be the one to help Kenshin out. And I like that. I like the fact that it showed their friendship. The same thing for Sanosuke. Sanosuke had a moment where, he's trying to figure out why Kenshin is acting this way, and he won't open up to anyone. He's very distant towards his friends. And there's this scene where he basically grabs his shirt, and he's like, I understand, why you would keep this from, Megumi or Yaiko or even Kaoru, but surely you can tell me. It showed their friendship, and it was just one of those scenes where it was really good. It's this one. It showed their friendship very well, and I thought that was a powerful scene. Like I said, those were the moments that I felt were really good for Sano and Megumi. And obviously the end where he says, don't overdo it, when she's healing him and she slaps him and he's just writhing in pain, and she's just, laughing at his pain. So that was really funny. But yeah, they had some great moments. I felt they did a good job. Yeah. All right. Besides Sano and Megumi, I would say Aoshi and Misao also had some great moments. Misao coming in to give the diary to Kaoru, that was very interesting. And then, of course, Aoshi comes in and looks at the Kamiya dojo. He's, thinking to himself, I've heard some things that might be, happen because of the Batosai. So he's really serious, but at the same time, you could tell he's a changed man. So I kind of like that, and I like the idea that we got to see them fight together. We got to see Aoshi and, Misao fight side by side. So that was really cool. This is what I'm talking about, where they're fighting. That was really cool. It was very short. That's one of the downsides to it, but I do like the fact that we did get to see them. It did allow Misao to, show a fiercer side because of what happened to Aoshi. But I did like how they showed Misao kind of fighting with two weapons, a kind of homage to, Aoshi. So that was really cool as well. But one thing I will say is Aoshi, we should have seen what happened to him because we were kind of left in the dark. So that was one of the downsides. And it was too short. But what we did see was very interesting. On to the next part, which is my favorite scenes. My favorite scenes, I have 6 of them, okay, from the film. The first one is the Akabeko scene. This is after the train scene. We get a more lighthearted scene. And actually, this is after the Asakusa scene, so we kind of got the joking and teasing of Kaoru in it. And it's just one of those iconic scenes. This is my postcard, by the way. And it's one of the rare times that we see Kenshin smiling and laughing. It's just one of those classic scenes that you know from Kenshin, and I just loved it. I thought it was really well done, and yeah, it just had the feel of Kenshin, so it was really cool. The next one had to be Inishi strangling Kaoru. Now, I'm going to show you the scan of it, the still of it. Now, it's not the physical part of it that, is what I enjoyed. It's actually the reason behind it. So, Inishi is strangling her because she is so, she's very emotional, very intense, talking to him, that Tomo would not approve of this. And when he hears Tomo's name, he just flips out and grabs her and starts choking her. And he just goes into that trance. Shine, 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 shine. And he just loses it. But it's very intense. It's emotional. It has the backstory, the past. It shows Tomo's she's not smiling. It shows the flower, all those connections, and it shows his suffering. So you really feel bad for Inishi and Kaoru at the same time, because Kaoru is trying to help him, and Inishi is hurting her, obviously. And obviously he's hurting Tomo as well, because she's not smiling. So it's just one of those powerful scenes that I felt they did an incredible job with. Okay, the next one had to be Sojiro's return. Yes, guys, Sojiro and Kenshin make a really awesome scene together. We're talking about this one. Hisashi Buri Dane Himura-san, right? So when he comes in and he says, my life lost all meaning, I become a Rurouni as well. And he fights alongside Kenshin. That was just an awesome scene. It was great. It's not from the manga, but also in the Hokkaido arc, he does say those things, and he did return. So I felt like they were trying to give a little, a hint at this could happen in the Hokkaido arc. But that was just really awesome to see, and the duo fighting was really awesome. And obviously at the end where he's like, it's kind of nice to not have to worry about your back for once. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, Kamiki's performance, really awesome. One of my favorite scenes, definitely. Number 4, Tomo's sacrifice. It was emotional, especially in the final scene where Inishi is reading the diary of Tomo. Now, let me show you the diary itself. Kaoru is looking at it here. But there is a scene at the very end where Inishi is in jail and he reads her diary. And it's really, really sad because Inishi realizes that what she did was that she chose to die for him, to protect him, to make him live. And she became the ultimate sacrifice. So this was just incredibly sad, and it just was really emotional, especially with the music added. Here is the full fold out of it, and here's the full fold out of it here. So yeah, it was just really impactful, emotional, and it was one thing they added that was not in the manga from Inishi's part. Really powerful scene. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Okay. Kenshin's apology. So Kenshin, there's the scene where Inishi gets hurt and he looks up to the dagger of Tomo. Apparently it's her dagger, and he's grasping for it, and he makes the loud sound, and he's really pissed off, and he runs towards Kenshin, and he basically plunges it into Kenshin's chest. And he's like, Kisama, you bastard, you took her from me. And so, like, he literally grabs his arm. Kenshin grabs his arm, and he's like, Inishi, Sumanakata. And you just can feel that emotion through it. And that scene was just really powerful. I really liked that scene. It's very sad, but you can tell kind of their journey, their suffering kind of comes to, all of that fighting comes to an end right here, where basically he just apologizes for everything, for what happened and how he didn't, help Inishi out, and everything, came to that. So that was a really powerful scene. The last one is Kenshin and Kaoru together at last at Tomo's grave. So obviously the lack of Kenshin and Kaoru is one thing in the film. However, the scenes were not as many. However, the final scene was incredible. I loved it. That was one of the scenes they did perfectly. That was the scene where they're at the gravesite. It has Kenshin and Kaoru. They're praying in front of Tomo's grave. This is the one I'm talking about right here. This is the same one from the manga. They did an incredible job. It was beautiful the way that, Kaoru and Kenshin ended up together towards the end where they're walking. It's just one of those great ways to end the film. Now, it could have been longer, but the way they did it, I liked it. It was really beautiful. So yeah, guys, that's what I enjoyed. Now we're going to talk about the downsides, the things that I wish they would have done a better job of. So the lack of Yaiko's development. Okay, in the Jinshu arc, he fights against Kajura Nami, which is a huge development for Yaiko. And also he protects one of the police officers who eventually becomes one of his students. So, that's a huge thing. We didn't really get to see any of that with Yaiko. So that's a little of a letdown, but I understand why they left it out, because Yaiko, his young actor is not able to do the same kind of, intensive training that Takeru Sato, Makanyo Rada, Tsuchiya Tao, all these people, the cast that are very close to each other and work together for a very long time, he's not able to do the same thing as them, so they didn't utilize him and making him do more action sequences, which is a shame. I wish we got to see a little bit more development on his part, but, I understand why they left him out. Okay, the next thing has to be the cutout scene of Kenshin and Kaoru. So in the film, there's this scene where Kenshin goes to this, kind of secluded place, and it's raining. There's like a torrential downpour, and he's just kind of suffering in the rain. Doesn't have any, umbrella at all. And Kaoru goes to him and gives him that umbrella. There's that distance between them. Well, they walk back together, and they have a scene, but they cut it out of the film. So that was a disappointment. I wish we got to see that, the actual, part of the film. So this is the one I'm talking about. It shows them walking together, and it shows all those houses in the background, and it shows them. You can see Kenshin has changed his outfit, so he's a little, more towards Batosai in that scene, and he's thinking, more serious, and he's distant. So I do wish we got to see that scene. It's a shame. The next thing, I wish the movie itself would have had less unnecessary scenes. So, like, there was this scene with Cho, and he goes to the compound, and we see him kind of challenge Inishi, and then he gets killed off. But we don't actually see the fight. We didn't actually get to see the fight. I kind of like that idea, but it didn't actually show the fighting. It just showed him, Inishi, showing up at the dojo with a bag of his head. And in that scene, it has like a message in his mouth, and Kenshin actually reads that message. I felt that scene was unnecessary because really Cho had, he doesn't really care about Cho. He doesn't really have any impact. I don't feel like that was a very good use of a film there. That was just my opinion. I was kind of sad that Cho got, killed off because he's in the Hokkaido arc now. But yeah, that's my feeling on it. I wish that scene was, not in there. Maybe we could have had the Kaoru and Kenshin scene. So maybe switch those scenes. But yeah, that's my feeling on it. I really enjoyed the film overall. I felt like Otomo did a little bit of everything. He took some risks. The action sequences were amazing. The drama was, high intensity, emotional. And yeah, he didn't do everything from the original, but he did do some very interesting things, like Sojiro coming back. That was very interesting. And yeah, I felt like it really was Kenshin. He captured the spirit and heart of Kenshin. So anyways, guys, that's my review. Yeah, and also we're going to be experiencing The Beginning very soon. So keep that in mind. July 30th. The Beginning is coming to Netflix. All right, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Maybe a Hokkaido arc video coming. We'll see. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, see you guys in the next one.